Hey guys, it's Mr. Ingram. I'm sitting in my dorm room. I'm getting ready to start your color theory self-portrait project. I'm going to be doing it on my own. This is the second time I will have done it, but this time I decided I wanted to record it to give you guys a good idea of how I got the final product and what I used to get it. So to start out, I am using a simple list of supplies. I've got one color pencil for each of the colors of the color wheel. As you can tell, these are all I'm using to get all of the tints and shades and the rest of that I need. And pressure of my hand, I might do something different where I use whites and blacks later. This is what I'm going to use kind of start video. On top of that, I have one pencil. I will show you how to do the graphite transfer when I get to that point, which should be pretty soon in the future. I have an eraser in case I mess up for the graphite transfer and all kinds of other stuff with the contour drawing that I'm going to do on top of the photo. And then I have a pad of paper. This pad of paper is an 11 by 14 drawing sketchbook, and obviously this is not the same size. This is a terrible photo, but it's the one I got. It fits and it's got a lot of space on the outside, so I will be doing my best centering it, and yours will probably be closer to size so you don't have so much excess gap. It'll be easier for me to cut yours, but mine is gonna have kind of a gap on the outside and I might cut it in the end. But yeah, that is my starting process. I've only got the colored pencils, the eraser, regular old pencil, the drawing pad, and that photo. You will have all of these things. I would suggest highly using colored pencils. I had a art teacher once who did an entire painting with watercolors just in one color, and she said it was the hardest thing that she ever did in her life because the tints and shades were so hard to get correct. So I would not shove that upon you. I highly recommend that you do it with color pencil. I think you'll have a better product in the end, and just also it'll be easier for you. So I'm gonna get started and I'll guide you through my process on the way. When I'm talking about contour lines and using them to your advantage in this project, you'll notice these little maps that go around here, and it makes it look like a heat map kind of on my face. The point of those is when I do the graphite transfer, I'll draw over these lines as well to kind of show me where the lights and dark shadows sit, and it will help me just use shapes to put in the lights and darks. I'll look at this photo and I will look at my colored image that I sent to my email, and I'll look at on my laptop, and I will make decisions on where the lights and darks should lie based on these lines and me looking at the two images. So if I close this shape in, if I look at where the lights and darks are, and I close this shape in, this entire shape minus this piece in the middle will be, one color, and then this piece in the middle will be another. You may think that's going to look really, really strange, but we're doing kind of like an abstracted version, going for detail, so that we don't have to so much go through and do the tiny, tiny, tiny details in here. If you look at this eye, I am going to run through it really quickly to give you an idea of what I am doing to get this. So we've got a distinct color pattern here, and this little corner in here is, I don't know if you can see it, is a little bit lighter. There's a light piece right in here, so that'll be a lighter piece, and then that under eye bag there is going to be darker, so I'm going to go around it. This has a lighter area, this is a darker area, so we just trace and trace and trace to our heart's content, trying to get these to be a little bit more defined. So I look like a bit of a maniac at this point, but trust me, as we move forward, it will make more sense when we color it. So now I'm going to show you the starting process for that graphite transfer. So you have these really nice wooden pencils in your baggies. What you're going to do, lay the pencil on the side, because if you lay the pencil on the tip, I'm going to do it in this corner, you're going to see really sharp, harsh lines that'll bleed through to the other side. What we're searching for is on the side, lay the graphite down thick. So, if you look at the back of my photo now, you can see those lines where I've gone through and I put the contours in and everything like that to define my lines that I need. But the most important part is we got all this graphite on here, which means, and if you look at my fingers, if it will focus, I've already got graphite on my fingers from touching this to flip it over. If you flip it over, and again, my paper is bigger than yours, try to center it on my paper, but I'm going to cut it out so it'll be alright. And go over it. So like I'm going to start on my hairline. Go over it. We're rubbing pretty hard here to get these lines that I have already pre-drawn in here. And if we peel it back, look at that. Our line is on there and it matches perfectly. So I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna do my whole face, and then I'll show you the finished product and what to do next. This is the finished product after I have traced over everything. I look like a blob, but that won't last for long, trust me. Next, I've got to put in the lines that divide this into 6 different shapes. So let me get my supplies out for that and I'll add that video. Mistakes time. So as I'm doing this, I have made this line right here too far up. You can tell because we've got this big Bermuda triangle of question mark. What color is that happening here? So I am erasing. I'm going to come through with my eraser. I'm going to erase this part. And as I go through, I am dodging those lines that I have already put in. See how that line stays? It's not in really rough, but it stays. It's because it's just going to do that. And we're going to know, aha, I made a mistake. It's okay. Not the end of the world. We are working with what we've got, because remember, everything that we do is going to be to the best of our ability. We can't ask any more or any less of ourselves, just that we do our best. So, did I make a mistake? Yes. Am I trying to fix it? Also yes. And that is the best that we can do. I probably could have done better the first time. I know in the future I will do better. So, as you can tell, I have moved this line down. So it is in the center and they all match. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sections for the 6 colors of our colored pencils. So now, what I'm going to do is have this out for reference, get my laptop out, I'm going to pull up my original image and look at that for reference, and I'm going to start going around and coloring things in. I am just gonna start with one color. I am not overly concerned with your placement of the colors. I like wherever you start, it's wherever you start. But if you've got red up here, I'm not really keen on seeing a green right across from it, you know, because we know if we're going color wheel standards, the green would be down here because it's a complement. So wherever you start, just make sure as you go back around, it makes sense. Because if it doesn't, I mean, you're not really showing me, you know, your color wheel. And we're doing this for color theory and to start practicing with our lights and darks, values and shadows. Alright, I have started in the red section on my hair. And if you'll look, I went around red, then we got purple, blue, green, yellow, and orange. In the red section, I start on my hair. This part, I'm putting full force down. These parts, I've gone through and added highlights to in here. If you look on here, I didn't add any of the highlights into the dark, so like I did down here with the contour lines, I didn't do that up here. I'm going for texture, so as I come around these lighter areas, I'm going to press a little harder. It's all about the amount of pressure that you're adding. So then I'm going to go around it, and we're getting that little bit of light in there. So the next shot I show you is going to be after I've got all around this and added my highlights through there. And I'll show you the hair when I get it finished for this section. Okay, we're back. I went a little further than I thought I was going to go first. So if you look, I've added some of these hair marks. If you remember, and we look over here, as you can tell, I started on the orange. There's some hair marks through here that maybe they show up on here not really well, but when I look at the image that I took originally, I can see them and I see how my hair lays and how all the little pieces kind of fan out. You'll notice I went back over these sections of highlights, so not only did I color, not only did I color lightly first and then go around it going darker, but I also went kind of back over it and then lightly colored back over it just to get it to blend a little bit better. But if you look, you could tell that they're highlights, and when I get the whole section done, it'll look better. And then we've kind of got to get work down to the orange. A tip that I have found out, I have made a mistake on this line right here. I pressed too hard, and then if I try to go back through with my eraser, you'll notice it takes away and fades out my colors. I can go back over that, but it's still not really taking away that graphite because the waxy layer that comes off your colored pencils doesn't allow you to erase that. So, in the future, I will be erasing these lines ahead of time. And if I were you when I was doing mine, I would not press so hard. The moment you start pressing really hard on here is when you get mistakes like mine. So, don't press so hard on those. And I want to take a moment to talk about directional coloring because it's hard for me. And when I'm talking about directional coloring, what I am talking about is the direction that you're coloring needs to be the same across, the board. So if you start coloring vertically up and down, and then all of a sudden you pause for a second, and then you come back to it and you start going at it like this, you could see where they butt up to each other. And you can see we've got some heavy lines through here. So, directional coloring means we come at it all from the same direction. So, if I'm going to color up and down vertically, I'm going to do the entire section up and down vertically. Another thing, and I'm guilty of this, moving my fingers like this, not using my wrist and not using broad strokes. We are working on small areas right now, so this is not that big of an area, but you can see all my little small strokes. I'm making the mistake. It's hard to get out of, I understand, but try coloring using your elbow and rather than your wrist, or even just moving your grip. That way you get broader strokes. So if I use my elbow instead, I can still adjust pressure, and you're seeing the lines underneath, but it looks a little better, and that's more what we're going for. So directional coloring, keep that in mind. I'm going to move on. I'm going to try to finish the hair in my different sections. As you can tell, I've also labeled my sections. I can't remember. It's a new day since I have worked on this, so can't remember if I've told you about that or not. But I'm going to start working on more of the hair and going back through and seeing if erasing this first will help, even though I know I did it a little too hard. We're going to see if it helps. Alright, I'll see you in the next clip. Okay, so I went a little further again than I said I was going to go in the last video, but things just kind of flow in a weird way. So, this is the finished product for the hair. You will notice in the detailed area of here, I did some light erasing. I didn't fully erase it. It's because yellow has a hard time showing detail. As you can tell, I pressed really hard in these areas to get the darker colors, and then I did really light and kind of try to do medium in between. Yellow is difficult. I haven't finished this eye part yet, but I thought I'd show you while I'm at this point. As you can tell, I'm just pressing harder, lightening up, leaving in some of those graphite lines, which I kind of don't like. That's going to be your kind of choice if you feel like you can get the details in the yellow area. This might be one of those things where you look at this and say, well, there was a lot more detail up here in the red section. I mean, a lot less detail up here in the red section, so maybe this should have been the yellow section and this should have been the red section, since you can get more. It's easier. It's just easier because red's a darker color. So I think that going forward, my tip for you on the yellow section, or just choosing colors in general, will be to choose the hardest color and put it in the least detailed area. So that would be my. I would not choose an ear to go in the yellow section. If I were you, that is my new tip for you. Also, if you look in some places, we've got colors where I just zoned out so hard that in the zone and all, that I had them a little overlap. It's okay. I'll just start with purple underneath here. And, you just butt things up together. So, like, I'm going to fix this really quick, because this should go right on my ear. So see how it went over the line a little bit? So it'd match. 'Tis the way it is. It's just the way it happens to be. So, just blend things together. Not the end of the world if you cross a line too much. We're just trying to get all of the different sections, so you have each section. That's all my tips for now. Okay, we're starting to get things come together here. So you got our yellow, our orange, our red, and our purple. So all that I have left is blue and green to do. The green is probably the largest section. My eyes, not too happy with them, to be honest with you. The details in, like, my glasses and around my eyes are super hard to do because I'm only using the one color pencil each. If you have variations of color, feel free to use them, but I'm going worst case scenario, you guys didn't get a lot of colors, trying to do it that way. But the details are starting to come together, and of course I'll go back over this. This is my first pass over everything. But it's not too bad. I'm pretty happy with it. It's alright. So I'll keep going and I'll let you know when I get there. Okay, I've added some shirt to it. I know you're at like a close view, so this is like the far away view, and you can tell it's me and I'm there. And I took away the label down here. So next thing that I'm gonna do, erase and then do a background on it. Which, for the background, I am going to use a color that I just don't have in this. So, out of all of my colors, I don't know what I'm going to use yet. It'll be a fun surprise for everyone. This is the finished product that after I have put in a layer for the background, this is what we've got. So now I'm going to go back through and try to just, I don't know, go over it a little bit, make it a little bit better. My main takeaways from this project is, don't make your lines too hard. If you go back through here, you can see a ton of my lines. So be really careful how you make your lines. Again, I would change the yellow's position to a different position. Do I think that it comes out more now that I put a background around it that's not white? Yes. I think it stands out because of the shirt too, now that I've added the shirt. And again, I added a detail line in the shirt. There's so many details in the face and the hair that it needed it. I added those hair details that may not have been in my printout but were in the original photo. I only used, this was extra, this is the pink that I used for the background, but I only used 6 different, we're missing red, 7 different colored pencils for this, I just used pressure to create detail in each section of my face, and then I did the entire background in a color that I did not use in my image. So that is all you have to do, and don't forget, we're using directional coloring and also using the charcoal transfer process to get it onto our paper. Yours will obviously be smaller than mine. I ended up using up the entire 11 by 14 space. Yours only needs to be this 8.5 by 11. I did my heat map contour to get my different areas here. You can kind of see them played out more now, especially in the green, blue, and yellow areas, because they have a lot more color difference. You can tell on here, like if you look at the red on my face on here, it's just a big swath of light color, and it is on here too. So just using our photos for reference, using our charcoal transfer, contour line, all those processes that we know so well, this is my final product. So I will touch up some areas and get back with you guys. Put a final photo in the video, but I hope it goes well for everybody. I hope that this video was very helpful in what to do, and that you can do it with just a few amount of colors, an eraser, and a sharpener, and a regular pencil. So, thanks you guys for watching. I hope that this was helpful.